Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Game & Watch Gallery 2, brought to us by Nintendo for the Nintendo Game Boy. Game & Watch Gallery 2 is of course a follow-up to the original Game & Watch Gallery that featured many classic Game & Watch style games, and modernized them with Mario characters, as well as including the original classic versions of each game. Game & Watch Gallery 2 features 5 games to start, and you can actually unlock a 6th game once you've collected enough stars. In this video, I'll be showing you guys all the modern versions of all the games, and also showing you guys the ending to the game. So here we go with Game & Watch Gallery 2 for the Nintendo Game Boy. Just like Game & Watch Gallery 1, your main goal in each of the games is to score 1,000 points and get stars. By getting the stars, you unlock different unlockables such as the gallery, music, as well as, of course, the ending once you've collected enough. For this video, though, I'll just be showing the hard versions of the modern games and showing about 200 points or so in each game, and then moving on to the next one because, well, the games don't change up too much and the video would get a little bit boring. First up, though, is Parachute. Parachute is a pretty simplistic and fun little game where you're catching toads as they parachute out of different airships. Once in a while you'll also have to start catching Yoshis as the game goes on. The toads move from the very top and they move down pretty slowly, giving you plenty of time to catch them in your boat. However, the Yoshis are a little bit more sporadic, as they can open their parachute at any time, so you may have to change up your timing as far as when you decide to pick up one of the Yoshis. Also, from time to time, one of the toads or a Yoshi can go inside the cannon on the far right side. Once it does so, it'll then be launched out, and it'll fall really quickly since it doesn't have a parachute, so you'll have to keep on your toes in order to actually catch that one. Of course, if you accidentally miss any of the toads or Yoshis, they will be eaten up by the fish below, and you end up getting a miss or lose a life. Once you've done so a couple of times, it's game over, and you'll have to start again from 0 score. Like I said, your main goal is to get 1,000 points, and by doing so you'll get 5 stars. Every 200 points you're able to complete in a game gets you a star. Most of the games also reward you with a bonus for either extra points or an extra life after you've reached a certain amount of points grabbed. At about 50 points or so, the game starts to get a lot more tougher as you'll have lots of parachuting Yoshis to catch, as well as you'll also have usually a couple of toads thrown in as well. For the parachuting Yoshis, wait till they open their chute and then decide which one you're going to go grab next, and always be ready to press left or right to switch over to grab another one, as it may fall and open the parachute really close to the water. While I find all the games pretty fun and they all can be challenging, Parachute is actually one of the easiest ones on the game. A lot of the other games, as you'll see, have some pretty interesting controls as far as being able to just move your character, whereas Parachute, of course, is just the very simple left and right. As you can see, once we reach 100, we end up getting a star that we can collect, and that's a bonus extra 5 points to our point total. After a while though, you'll also have to watch out for parachuting Donkey Kong Jr.'s, as they will come down. But I choose the miss one just so I can show you guys the missing animation. And now we're going to go back to the main menu and move on to the next game in the Game & Watch Gallery 2. Next up is Helmet. Now this game has a Koopa Troopa flying overhead and he's throwing all these hammers down at you. What you'll have to do is hit the P switch in order to get coins to appear. Quickly move Mario left and right to collect the coins, and then move into the door on the far right once it opens up. The more coins you collect as Mario though, the slower he ends up moving. So you'll have to decide which is more important, collecting all the coins or collecting more coins, or just going into the bonus at the end. The more coins, of course, you have at the end, the more points you'll end up getting. Now this is one of my favorite and more challenging games. While it's only of course left and right, I find this one a lot more tough than Parachute because of the amount of objects flying down at you. Not only do you have of course the hammers, you'll have the spike balls as well as it looks like ghosts or shells coming down at you as well. Thankfully, the game is very fast-paced, so it does not take long at all for us to gather over 100 points here, so I'll play it for a little bit longer. You actually have a decent amount of time before the hammer ends up landing on you in the game. You'll have a decent amount of hit detection, so that even if the hammer is about to hit Mario, you may be able to still scoot underneath the hammer just barely in order to keep moving on and not lose a life. When you reach almost the 200 point mark, inside the door will instead be a star, and when you grab that, you'll get an extra 25 point bonus. Now that we've seen everything the game has to offer, we're going to back out and move on to another game, but before we do so, we're going to go to the easy mode first. While doing the easy mode, if you lose all your lives really quickly, when you retry, you'll no longer actually be playing as Mario. Instead, you'll actually be playing as Mario's rival and my favorite character, Wario. While it's not much of a difference and the game still plays the same, as you can see, the sprite at the bottom that we control is now Wario, and of course, Wario is trying to get money. I always thought that was a cool little Easter egg, and I wanted to make sure I shared it with you guys. Now, in another game, you can actually unlock a couple of different playable characters, but this is the only character you can play as in Helmet other than Mario. Next, we move on to Chef. Now, Chef is pretty interesting. You're playing as Princess Peach, and she's using her skillet in order to cook food. You bounce the food items by either pressing left or right, and then also having to press A or B in order to switch over your skillet to the opposite side. This also switches up Yoshi and whatever side he is on from you. Your goal is to cook the food till it changes to medium rare, just medium, and then feed it to Yoshi. If you're able to get the food to medium, you get more points. Yoshi will eat the food as soon as it comes out from the Mario or Luigi side, but he prefers it to be cooked a little bit. This game definitely takes some getting used to, but there's some cool little bonuses in this game as well. Our goal, of course, is to keep feeding Yoshi, and the more medium items you end up feeding him, you get the possibility that Yoshi will actually lay an egg. And if he does so, you can keep feeding him and get that egg to hatch, and once you've done that, you can eventually get him to turn into a big Yoshi, and he'll replace the Yoshi that you're currently feeding. So that's going to be our goal here with Chef. Try to do your best, of course, to keep cooking those items until they change color, but you also have to be careful that you don't hit them too many times because they will turn black and they're burnt then, and Yoshi is not going to like the burnt food as much as, of course, the medium or just normal food. It definitely gets tougher the more food items, of course, you're trying to balance at once. The good thing is they don't keep throwing them at you. Usually they throw them at you at 2 or 3 at a time, and then once you've taken care of one of the items, then they'll actually throw you another one. So you won't get the entire screen covered with food. If you're able to get the food cooked, of course, you'll rack up more points, so the game will go a little bit quicker. As you can see that we were able to get enough food fed to Yoshi, so he ended up popping out the first egg, and now you have to keep feeding him, and eventually the egg will crack and open up. There we go, after feeding him that last egg, the egg hatches and now we have a little Yoshi. Now this little Yoshi will follow us around instead of the big one, and then when we feed it enough, it'll grow up and it'll be the same size as the Yoshi, of course, that hatched it. Like I was mentioning earlier, there's a gallery mode that you unlock different things for once you've collected enough of the stars. And what it basically is, it gives you a little description and shows you an animated version of other old-style Game & Watch games, most of which are included on this compilation. And a couple of them were included on the Game & Watch Gallery 1, and some would be included in Game & Watch Gallery 3 or Game & Watch Gallery 4 that was also released. It does take quite a while if you're unable to get the food cooked enough in order to actually get the Yoshi to grow, but as you can see, we get our point counter pretty high while trying to do so. Here I feed him this last cooked egg and he grows up to be a full-grown Yoshi. You also get a nice big point bonus for doing so, and then of course you can keep playing the game and try to get that 1,000 point total. Next up though, we're going to move back up to the main menu and select Vermin. Now Vermin is one of the tougher games, especially on the hard difficulty. Vermin has you playing as Yoshi guarding 6 different eggs. You have to press the A and B buttons in order to move Yoshi around the circle in order to hit the different enemies with your hammer. Getting used to the controls of this are pretty difficult. It's not just press A for right and B for left. What it does is, they actually change up depending upon which direction Yoshi is facing, so the controls can actually get reversed and you may accidentally go the wrong direction from where you want to. Even after not playing it for just a day or so, I have some trouble getting back used to the controls, so it takes me a little bit to get into the groove. The thing about this version is, though, you only have 1 life. You can't miss anything. If any of the eggs get completely broken, the game is over and you have to start back at 0 points. You have, of course, Shy Guys coming at you, you have Koopa Troopas coming at you, you even have Boos coming at you as well, trying to break all these different eggs. Thankfully, on some of the enemies, you'll get used to the timing of when they're actually going to attack the egg. And until their attack animation is over, the egg doesn't break. So even if they start attacking, you may be able to still swoop in and hit them with that hammer just in the nick of time. Now the big bonus for this, because of course you're not going to get an extra life, is once you've reached a certain amount of points, you actually will get rejuvenation to all the eggs, as they'll go up 1 level from whatever they currently are. And that's probably one of the cooler things, because Monty Mole is involved. Vermin moves so quickly that you cannot blink even sometimes while trying to take out the enemies. You'll get a very small breather after you take out a very large group, but then another whole giant swarm is going to be coming your way at any moment. When going to unlock the 1,000 points and getting all 5 stars in this game, this is one of the ones that probably takes me the longest when I'm trying to do a full completion of the game. Of course, the longer the game goes, we now move up from like just 2 enemies at a time, now to 4 enemies coming at us at a time. Those Shy Guys are pretty relentless, and they move in rather quickly, so even though you may think you have an extra second or two to take out a Boo on the opposite side, you may have to swing back really fast in order to hit a Shy Guy who just came out of nowhere. After reaching the 200 point mark, all these Monty Moles come out from the bushes and they restore our eggs. And of course, Monty Mole being one of my favorite enemies, it's a cool little animation there. Now we're going to stop though as we reach the 200 point mark and move on to the 5th and final game from the default settings here in Game & Watch Gallery 2. And that is the original arcade classic, Donkey Kong. Now this is based on the Game & Watch version of Donkey Kong. This one works a little bit different. You still have Mario, and he's still jumping over barrels, but you also have Koopa Troopas you're going to have to watch out for. Your goal here is to climb up through the pipe, then press the lever, and then jump over to this moving platform to get into the door at the top to rack up points. Every time you get to the door at the top right corner, the platform that Donkey Kong is standing on will slowly start to disappear. After you've done so enough, Donkey Kong will end up falling, and the game will end up resetting back to having a full bridge. However, since this is the modern version of the game, what happens is after destroying the bridge, you actually move on to a different background. And there's 3 different backgrounds set up in this modern version of Donkey Kong, and I'll be showing all 3 of them. You also see that you're rescuing Princess Peach instead of course, Pauline in the original Donkey Kong. And after one of the barrels gets to the corner, you can see that a Koopa Troopa comes out, as well as there's a Paratroopa as well. When an enemy comes near you, when you can jump up, you can either grab onto the pipes themselves that you actually have to move across, or you can grab onto the chains or vines if you're on the bottom level. Just be sure to quickly jump off of the platform you're hanging on as soon as whatever passes by. That way it doesn't disappear, and you don't have to wait for it to respawn before you're able to actually go across and get to the end. Of course, also hanging on for too long and it ends up disappearing may cause you to fall down and land on one of the barrels or Koopa Troopas that you're trying to avoid. After you see that we completed the industrial platform and level background, we move on to a jungle theme, which is pretty cool, some nice animations, and reminds me of Super Mario World, with the platforms that we're jumping on, as well as the mountains in the background. When you move across the center platforms up here, you actually have to press the jump button in order to move over to the platform. Just pressing the arrow key will end up causing you to fall back down and land on top of the pipe at the bottom. The third and final background is a cloud theme. Here you'll have to bounce around the clouds at the side and then actually press the jump button to jump up the last 2 clouds in order to get to the top and enter the door, and rack up some extra points, and get rid of course, another piece of Donkey Kong's bridge. While overall not the most difficult of the games available in Game & Watch Gallery 2, this is definitely one of my more favorite games to play, as I'm a big fan of the original Donkey Kong arcade game. I also was very lucky enough to actually play one of the Game & Watch versions of Donkey Kong when I was younger. Here we get rid of the last piece of the bridge for Donkey Kong once again, and we rack up some points and then go back to the machine version of the level. However, once we've racked up all those points though, we're going to back out, and now we've completed all of the games here in the first set of 5. Now, you need to unlock a certain amount of stars in order to get the 6th and final game, Ball. But I wanted to show the little animations that you get by leaving the cursor on one of the games selected for a little bit of time. By doing so, characters from whatever game you're highlighting will show up and do a little bit of an animation. Just a little added bonus, nothing really special about it, but I did want to include it. Of course, one of my favorites is Vermin, because you actually get to see Monty Mole pop out for a little bit, and do a little bit of back and forth dancing, before we end up going down to Donkey Kong and getting to see, of course, Donkey Kong Jr. here now, and Mario. After getting a certain amount of points, we unlock the final game here, and that is Ball, and we'll be playing that on the hardest difficulty. You play as Yoshi defaultly, but you can also unlock a few other characters by getting enough stars, and you're controlling tennis rackets, and you must bounce Yoshi eggs up and down, keeping them all in the air at the same time. If you lose just one egg, it's game over, and you'll have to start again. Thankfully, it just takes a little bit of getting used to because you actually have 4 different places to have each one of the rackets here. As you can see, by moving Yoshi back and forth, it changes where all the rackets are located. It's pretty easy, of course, also to rack up points, but since, of course, losing just 1 egg is game over, it can still be rather challenging in order to get the 1,000 points. One cool little thing, though, is when you're able to get to 100 points total, all these coins will start raining down from the sky. If you're able to get all the coins, you get a massive amount of points, and you can see that by doing so, we were able to get all the way up to 142 points from 100. And that happens every 100 points, so now we only have to go a little bit longer, and we'll already be getting our next set of coins raining down on us. While of course Ball is a pretty simplistic game, it can also be rather fun while you're trying to rack up as many points as possible. You'll also have to be careful from time to time that bombs will also start coming out of the pipes on the left and right side, so you'll have to avoid them as well. The more and more you play though, the faster the eggs may come at you at the end, but it's not too difficult and it's one of the easier games to get the full 1,000. Now before I leave though guys, I wanted to show you of course the ending credits to the game. After you have unlocked a certain amount of stars you'll get to see them, but at any time you can go to the view gallery mode and hold down and press the A button in order to get the credits to replay. And it's a pretty cool little sequence of all the different Mario characters showing you all the people that worked on the game. While the Game & Watch Gallery games in general may not be anything too amazing, I did get to play them when I was younger, and I always enjoyed trying to get those 1,000 point totals to try to unlock not only the different gallery things, but you can also unlock harder difficulties as well once you've reached the 1,000 points. And trust me, playing the star difficulty on some of the games, especially Vermin, can be very, very challenging, so you'll have plenty to do in Game & Watch Gallery as the game goes on for a pretty good amount of time, racking up a pretty good amount of hours of gameplay. At the end of the credits, we get our "To Be Continued" and our "Copyright Nintendo," and this is where the credits will sit until you end up pressing the start button, and you can continue playing Game & Watch Gallery to your heart's content. But anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this edition of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.